this, or if you work
No,
from
I'm
home.
home, but I was dealing with shit.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We're live, by the way, just so you know. So I just was worried. I get worried.
No, I
I'm
appreciate
a
that.
warrior. I care about my people. What can I tell you? I'm that kind of guy.
Well, that's why I feel the same way when you give me these vague fucking answers, and I'm
Well,
nervous.
listen, sometimes I'm just very busy and I give you the short answer.
Yeah, right.
I have friends who just talk to me in emojis sometimes, and it makes me very nervous. I get worried. But then you talk to them and you're like, nah, I just was being funny. Okay. And I laugh and everything's good.
Emojis.
Shall we go over the schedule here, sir?
Yeah, buddy.
I'm sorry, we're starting off with Jimmy G. There's no way.
Whatever you want.
We're starting off.
I don't. I very rarely do I want to start with something. I don't care where we start.
Yeah, I want to start with that because we were solo on the planet on this one. Okay. And the only ones who were right. Then we have, I thought maybe like notable.
By the way, in like May.
For a while. This isn't, we didn't, I mean, this one, this was one of the pat on the back moments and doing it, and we deserve it because we literally were two men on an island on this one. Notable cuts, we don't have to spend much time on that because I actually don't think there was a bunch. I didn't think there was many.
Nah.
It was pretty pedestrian this year, which is unusual. Hard Knocks. Got week 3 and 4. We can talk about both real quick. So then we'll get our NFL stuff out of the way there, and then we'll get into our college football. We got our games of the week, like our preview of big games. I have one on there that might surprise you a little bit. It's just I'll explain why I'm interested in the game.
Okay.
I'll explain why. It's not necessarily a marquee game, but I'm interested. Then we have our college football picks. I have 3.
Okay.
How many do you have?
I have 3 as well.
And you're going to be doing some work email right now?
You don't see me when I do this?
I like it. It looks like you're about to do some work email.
I'm just bringing up the NCAA the top 25, the over under 2.5.
Okay, I have that next, and then I have the Nebraska situation.
Oh, that's a pretty situation.
The game, the post game comments. We'll get into both, all that stuff. Then I got Rory winning FedEx championship, and then some what goes along with that, and then what has happened since.
Did you watch the Manti Te'o doc or no?
I did not, so I left that out because I didn't really know what you were talking about, and when you said that, and then
do you have Netflix?
I have everything. I get everything.
When you get a minute or two this weekend or maybe Monday, it's 2 1-hour episodes. Watch it.
Is it sad?
It's fucking bananas.
Oh, dude. All right. For next week, we'll do it for next week.
Deal.
Cool. And then I have our 78s. I got a great story.
Okay.
Great story. You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colaseano, joined as always by my very good friend, who I am always very concerned about, Scott Bracey. How's it going, dude?
Good afternoon, buddy. Thank you for your concern. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was a little concerned only because Scotty was a little late to the podcast, and I'm not concerned about the podcast at all because, everybody knows you're here to listen to me anyway. I could have done it alone. I was more concerned about Scotty's health. There's COVID.
I got
breaking news already? All right, hold on to it for a second. There's COVID, there's car wrecks, knock on wood. Scotty's okay.
Don't put that in the universe, but thank you very much.
Yeah, no. Well, if I had that kind of power, I wouldn't be sitting here in an apartment in Atlantic City anyway. If I could just say something and make it happen, things would be a lot different for me. So I'm not concerned about that either. So anyway, what's going on?
Breaking news.
Let's hear it.
NBA version. Donovan Mitchell reportedly all week, all offseason going to the Knicks.
Did it happen?
No.
Cleveland
Cavaliers.
Really? 4?
I don't know right now.
You don't have the particulars?
Let me hold on. Let me see what this app fucking thing
I think
says.
I just wanted to say you don't have the particulars. It sounds very intelligent.
The nuts and bolts.
I love saying things that make me look intelligent because
can the Knicks do anything? Almost on a fucking silver platter.
What were you going to give up? What were the Knicks going to give up anyway?
That's probably what it was.
No details was never going to happen.
No details yet, Coach.
Plus, the Knicks, what did they didn't have great draft picks. They didn't have great players to trade. Utah was asking for an arm and a leg. I mean, it was ridiculous. You would think they were trading a 23-year-old LeBron James. Give me a break.
Yeah, I agree
Come
with
on.
that.
But
I
at the
agree.
same time, you're giving up a superstar.
Well,
I guess.
we got to hold down to see what they give up, because then if
Yeah.
it was not as much as the Knicks were willing to give up, then it's just a Dolan thing. And then,
Do you have an idea what the Knicks were willing to give up?
Hold on that.
Oh
Cavaliers
shit! Here we go. This guy's
traded
just rolling.
for 3 unprotected picks, 3 unprotected first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. And the fucking Knicks were going to give up 3-4 guys with picks.
Why don't we hold on to that? We'll table that until later in the episode, and maybe we'll get some more details on that.
I think we just curb it till fucking October.
Because you wanted Donovan Mitchell, didn't you?
I just want a goddamn guy that knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a nice player. He's a good player.
With him, Randall, and Brunson, now you got something going. Like
maybe. So, I mean, we could probably do this once a week if we wanted to, but this one is a big one. We're going to do the all pat on the back here. And the reason I'm doing this one specifically, you know, you and I both watch a lot of sports. We watch a lot of sports shows. We listen and watch a lot of sports talk shows. I'm 100% convinced we were the only ones that were saying this. So Jimmy G renegotiated his contract and is staying with the 49ers. Now, what's really interesting about this is he's been on the team already, but he was actually practicing by himself off in the corner, no pads. The 49ers didn't even give him a playbook. Like he, for all intents and purposes, he wasn't part of the team. He was out there. He was on the roster. They were paying him, but he wasn't part of the team. And now they turn around and renegotiate his contract down from whatever it was, about $25 million, give or take, to it doesn't matter what, to something more tolerable. And he's going to stay in a team as maybe the best backup in the entire league. Why don't you tell me, why would the 49ers do such a crazy thing that everybody thought was nuts before that, of keeping Jimmy G, regardless the cost? Why you can't keep him on this team? Scotty, why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell our listening audience, why on earth would the San Francisco 49ers do something so crazy that only the 49ers, you and me, thought was a good idea? Why don't you tell everybody?
I'm going to cheers to us on this one.
Because we nailed this one on the head.
And besides Deshaun Watson, what other quarterback in the league hasn't played in 2.5 years? What other team was putting all their nuts, all their rolls, all their money in one basket?
Who was that?
That would be the 49ers and
Trey Lance.
And you mentioned something months ago back about George Kittle was on an interview, and he was like, well,
he's a really good
very
kid.
Athletic. He could throw the ball deep.
Really far.
And he's been proving. Yeah. I think that finally, I feel like that kind of trickled down now to the whole organization. And they're going, we saw a month with Trey Lance and Jimmy G. He's still here. We might want to maybe make sure he doesn't go anywhere just yet.
I'm going to one-up you on this one even more.
Go ahead,
I think the organization knew back then, which is why they didn't trade him at the time.
It's very possible.
And what they said was, hey, let's hold on to him. Maybe the kid makes more strides. Listen, because you were seeing we were getting the same reports, and you were seeing the same thing in the offseason and OTAs and all that stuff. That he's super athletic, has a really strong arm, and everything I hear is he's a good kid and a really hard worker. So it's not some prima donna shit like that. It's just he's not real accurate and hasn't played in 2 years, more or less, with any kind of consistency. So they said, hey, let's hold on to him because, frankly, we can hold on to Jimmy G up until the day before the first game of the season. And then if we cut him or trade him at that point, it doesn't cost us any money. And at the same time, we have this little backup plan. And to the other side, what they're thinking is, at that point, what options does Jimmy G have but to negotiate? You're going to get cut. You're going to get nothing. And now you're going to be supplanted on a team who knows where as a backup making who knows what. I don't think that money was guaranteed. So
because the most common sense you would think would be Cleveland. I mean, hands down, right?
Sure. But if you're Jimmy G, do you want to go to Cleveland? Because knowing that Deshaun Watson will be taking over at some point during the season?
That's true.
Why not just stay in California?
But we've said something on the show. We've said a lot. You're also playing for a future as well. Yes,
but does Does Jimmy G? So the difference with him and some other players, like say like a Mitch Trubisky, this will be the difference between these two. Jimmy G has proven himself a year ago.
Oh,
not 2 years ago, not 5 years ago. This is not Cam Newton where everybody loved. So 5 years ago, he was our league MVP. He sucks ass, dude. Like, it doesn't matter what he did 5 years ago. He sucks. And we've been proven right on that one again because Cam's not even in the league. Jimmy G was 2 of the last 3 seasons either went to the Super Bowl or went to the NFC Championship game and should have gone to the Super Bowl. Like, this is what he's proven himself as a winner. It may not look pretty all the time. It may not be the greatest stats. He gets hurt way too much. But in the end, when he's on the field, you win football games. And frankly, in San Francisco's case specifically, as we've pointed out unlimited times, when he's not on the field, you lose football games. So for whatever that means, there's confidence in him and the players. He has a way of making big plays at the right time, which we talked about. His 2-minute performance and 4-minute performance at the end of halves and games is one of the best in the entire NFL. Whatever it may be, maybe he's just so friggin' handsome that, everybody just wants to do well for him. Maybe it's just because they have a great defense, but then when he's not playing, they should win too, and they don't. Regardless, he's a winner. And you and I noticed, and I think San Francisco knew, oh shit, maybe this kid, Trey Lance, isn't ready. And they held on and they held on and they held on and hoped that Jimmy would renegotiate because what choice does he have now? And they did just that, and he stays on a team. And I think it's smart. I think it's the right move. It's what we were calling for them to do anyway. Hold on to him. What the hell's the difference? The idea that they were able to renegotiate his contract, you say $7 million. If they got it down to $7 million, oh my God, it's like a steal.
Yeah.
2 years ago, whatever it was, oh my God, who was the guy? He was a backup for the Jets when Sam Darnold was there. They signed him to $10 million as a backup. So you're getting Jimmy G, you're getting a Super Bowl quarterback for $7 million to back up. I don't know if there's incentives and shit in that, but
yeah, possibly. And that leads me to this question for you.
Yeah.
Over under 4.5 starts for Jimmy G.
Oh, well, so you mean 4.5 total, or you mean like game 4 or game 5? Like
total.
Well, I'm not sold on Trey Lance. And I just think if they get off to a slow...
Get in line.
It's a short line, though. It's just me and you.
Well, maybe Shanahan, maybe Lynch.
Everybody else should get in line behind us. And I think that's what you're really trying to say here, because we're the only one. I swear to God, dude, I am trying to be that guy a little bit today. I really do believe we were the only ones. I really do believe that we were the only ones saying, just keep him. Just keep him. What's the difference? Trey Lance is cheap. He's on a rookie contract. He's cheap. Just keep him. What the hell's the difference? Between the two of them, you're still paying less than a top-end quarterback. So what's the difference? Anyway, that's a really good number.
Thank you.
It all depends on whether you think they get off to a fast start or not.
Well, that's
because
we were question starts from.
Yeah, we were looking at their schedule, and I think we both noticed that they could very easily be 2-4.
Yeah.
If you're 2-4 with that roster,
you're pulling them.
You gotta, right?
You're pulling them, definitely. And it depends on how he looks and how they lose the games too.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're losing games 27-24, then I wouldn't necessarily hold that against you.
One thing I like that Lance said, but another thing that confuses me in the same sentence. He goes, "What do you think about Jimmy G being back?" He goes, "Man, I love it. He was great for me last year, and I'll do the same for him." Well, it's not exactly the same thing, though, Trey. You're taking over his spot. So
I think part of it for him is he likes having the training wheels on, because Jimmy G is like a pair of training wheels. I don't just mean he's there if Trey Lance falters, you have a nice backup. I think for him, he means I got this guy who's a real pro.
Yep.
Who's still teaching me, and I still have lots to learn from him. And frankly, in all honesty, especially because of the way he's performed this preseason, it's a smart thing to say.
Yeah, it is.
We talked a couple weeks ago about what Saquon Barkley was like. We'll fuck people up this year. Okay, you know what? Why don't you get 500 yards under your belt after the first 8 games, and then we can talk about fucking people up. Maybe do well, because you haven't done in a while. Like, do well before you start talking shit. So I think it's smart for him. He's kind of struggling or coming along a little slower than they had hoped. Smart for him. Smart business for him. It looks good for him. And frankly, it's mature. Let's not forget, he's probably, 22 years old? At 22 years old, I don't know that I was this mature to say this. Baker Mayfield wouldn't have been. Maybe Baker Mayfield would be now, but Baker Mayfield at 22 wasn't mature enough to say, hey, man, I'm glad Jimmy G's here. I like having him here, man. He's taught me so much, and I still have more to learn. Like, what a mature thing to say. So, good for him on that. And it's the kind of thing, and that makes me like Trey Lance. This is never personal. This isn't about Trey Lance, the person. This is about, this is a football team that's trying to win a championship, because other than a quarterback, this is a championship roster. Like, there might not be a better roster in the whole NFL other than quarterback and really the questions that they have at quarterback. So it's a smart move by him to say that, whether he means it or not. Who knows? Because, you don't want to have this guy like on your ass. And as soon as you go on a 2-game losing streak, God forbid you start the season 0-2. The boo birds are come out. The media is chirping. Twitter is tweeting. Facebook is facing whatever.
We want Jimmy.
Oh, for a week. Remember we talked about this a few weeks ago, and we're starting to see that stuff now. We'll get to Nebraska later, but we've heard nothing but Nebraska all over the place all week. No. It's not for a day; it's for a week. So, but I just wanted to put that out there because I genuinely, Colin Cowherd, the guys are on in the morning with Nick Wright. Your guys on Peacock, DP, and the other one, like, nobody was saying this. They're saying, of course they're going to cut him. They have to cut him. They can't keep him on the team. And I'm not even putting them down because I know where they were coming from. But they were coming from a place that it was a guaranteed lock that Trey Lance was the guy. And you didn't know that. And if you all we did was listen to the reports, right? Like, we just heard reports like he's throwing 5-yard outs into the dirt. Or he's throwing like crossing routes and he's a yard and a half behind.
And the longer it went, the more the writing was on the wall. That
you got to think about it. Just think about what's going on. Like, you can't. So if you're Pittsburgh and you have a struggling offensive line, or if you're Detroit and you've been a losing organization, you're trying to get better, but you don't care about that kind of stuff. If you were Seattle this year and you heard your quarterback is struggling, and you're like, whatever, we're building for the future. Yeah. This is a team that can win right now. Like, this is a real championship team. Like we've said so many times, probably should have been in the Super Bowl last year, other than a couple of mistakes here and there. So that's why this is a little different. This is a team that's ready to win immediately, that does win with Jimmy G there. And this is this is what is funny. Like, all these people we just mentioned, and I'm not even trying to put them down. I know where they're coming from, but all of them that we just mentioned talk about how Jimmy G this, Jimmy G that, not great. Stats show he's not great, but they'd be the first ones if San Francisco started 0-2, 1-3. If they had cut him or had traded him, didn't you know? Didn't you see the signs? Didn't the kid's young? He hasn't played in 2 years. All reports we heard were that he wasn't ready, and you still you are the ones that were saying it too. So you can't have it both ways. We don't have to have it both ways. We were right. So that's why I bring it up. It is a fascinating story, but we just happen to be the only ones maybe on the planet that were on the right end of this one.
Yeah.
So good for us.
It feels good.
It does. This one feels a little extra good. This next one, not going to feel so good. This past week, there were some cuts. It was cut week. Got to get down from 80 guys or so down to a 53-man roster.
Yeah.
There weren't too many notable cuts. To me, this was kind of a vanilla year. This was no big surprises. A lot of times we get some big names. They might be older, a little long in the tooth, but you get some big names. This year, I didn't feel like there was a number of them, but there was one that you were so gleeful about texting me that he got cut. Do you want to mention who that was?
I forgot who it was.
Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, your boy Kellen Mond.
Yeah. So Scotty texted me earlier in the week that Kellen Mond, who was a quarterback out of Texas A&M, got drafted by Minnesota. I was very high on him coming out of college. And do you remember what round they drafted? Was it second round?
I want to say third.
Second or third round. And I liked him. I actually thought it was a good spot for him because, Kirk Cousins is, makes a lot of money. They're not cutting him anytime soon. It was a good spot for him, and they still cut him. So you got to. He's cheap.
Also, different staff too, different GM. So
yeah, that's true. They did
things a little bit.
But still, I'm looking. I'm like, man, you got this kid. He's young. He's cheap. You know, you're not paying him any money.
He went somewhere though. I think he's on the Browns practice squad. Or
did he get picked
like
up
that.
already?
Yeah, somebody like that.
But I had to acknowledge, you know, maybe not my best call.
Raiders cut former first-round pick Alex Leatherwood. The Raiders continue their first-round blunders.
Have you seen? I'm sure you
list?
saw it.
Oh
my goodness! How far
You
does
guys
that
are
go
in
back?
jail.
I mean,
It's
it's a list that goes back what? Like, was it the beginning of the Gruden years or the Mayock?
I think it was the Mayock year because Mayock was there, a year or two before Gruden.
There's literally
it's bad.
No, Gruden was there first. Mayock came after him.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
There's literally nobody left.
There's one guy left, but they declined his 5th-year option, so he's going to be gone.
Well, so that's what it was. It was either
back,
cut. Yeah. It was a list of all first and second round picks, and all of them cut. Bad. No 5th round option. No 5th round option. No 5th-year option. I'm like, holy cow! You talk. How the hell are they even competitive when you think about that? Like you've whiffed on other than what? Jacobs
is still there, but he'll be gone after this year because I think this is his last year.
You think they're going to let him go?
Unless he
goes on the cheap.
It goes on the cheap, and I think running backs. It's hard to
really hard.
Damon Arnett, Henry Ruggs, off the top of my head, Cleveland Farrell, the guy that they took out of Clemson at 4. He was the 3rd best D lineman on that team at Clemson.
You mentioned Leatherwood, dude. He was their 1st-round pick last year. They already let him go. It was last year.
I know.
I mean, he cost nothing. He cost nothing.
It's crazy.
They're already cutting him. It's like so sad. It's so sad. Like you talk about bad. This is like their drafts are making like old Jets drafts look good. I mean, at least Sanchez was good for a few years. Like at least some of these guys were good for a few.
At least the Rams traded their picks for good players and won a Super Bowl. These Raiders are just picking the wrong guys.
Dude, what a disaster. Now I do think they have some pieces in place up top now. I don't necessarily love the head coach, but I think they have some people in place now that'll do better. But that's something. It's a bad look. It's amazing to me that they're even competitive. It really is amazing to me. I think that has a little bit to do with the fact that they're in Las Vegas, and I think guys love the idea of playing in Vegas. That they were able to sign any free agents. I think the idea of playing in Vegas is quite alluring. I can't imagine why, but yeah, I think it's probably quite an exciting place to play.
Chuck E. Cheese for adults.
Oh, young adults with gobs of money, just gobs of money.
It's a good word, gobs. It's a good word.
It's just dripping out of every orifice. They have more money than they even know what to do.
That and other things.
Especially Devontae Adams. My God, $30 million a year now. Jesus. So we both go ahead.
Well, but maybe not a good place to be for an addict like Darren Waller.
Probably not the best idea. Yeah. Go right back to your casino hotel room where they give you free booze for you to get. Yeah, probably not the best. It's a good call. Didn't think of that. I wonder what he has to do. You think he has like seriously, like a concierge?
Probably.
Like somebody who's just.
I'm not even being funny.
No, I mean, I'm deadly serious. I'm thinking of like The Godfather. Like you got to have a concierge who goes around with you everywhere. Like can't do that. You can do that. You can go. Can't go there. Like seriously, pay him $100,000 a year. Pay him $200,000 a year. What do you care? You're making $20 million.
I want to record this. Do you remember a couple years ago? Baseball player, a guy named Josh Hamilton.
Yes, of course.
And they wouldn't let him have more than like $18 in his pocket or something. Yeah. Like it was like and he had to get watched.
Well, dude, how many years did he miss in the front end of his career because of drugs?
Like 6 at least.
At least, right?
Yeah.
And then he finally gets into the league. He cleans up, and he was amazing. What an incredible hitter!
Was insane. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. They basically had to keep him on a short leash. It was like his money, but they wouldn't get. That's a great example, dude. Oh my God, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had forearms like Popeye.
It's got to be something similar. I remember he put on a show at the Home Run Derby at the old Yankee Stadium the last year. Yeah. Holy shit, man! He was almost hitting the. Thank you.
Good call.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be close to be something like that for Waller. You would imagine, right? It's like
I just think it would be smart business. I think it would be smart of him. Like it's smart if the team were to do something like that.
And they have another
But
guy
it's
in their
smart
team
for
that's an
him.
ex-addict. Max Crosby, the DN's another guy.
Correct.
That's what they're like best friends now. So you know what? That might help. They
kind of
each
keep
other
an
out of
eye on
harm's
each
way.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a sponsor program, like with AA
Yeah.
or something like that. Like they're each other's sponsors. Unless they're going out and getting shit faced together, then that doesn't work real well.
Whew.
Well, let's hope that's not the case. Sorry, I could just.
If they start out 7-0, I might send them something. Fucking gentlemen.
Yeah. 2-0 against the Broncos. Like,
Yeah, fucker.
oh, man, send you a case of wine. Well, the wine of the week program.
Anybody want to go to Vegas?
Have you seen these? Have you seen these multicolored fentanyl pills? They're fantastic. Give them a shot. Give you a lot of energy. I think we're both caught up on Hard Knocks now.
We are, sir.
Weeks 3 and 4. What's your takeaway so
you
far?
watched 3. So fill me in on 3. Do you see what I was talking about with Deuce Staley and he loses his voice? He's fucking.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. What's interesting to me, the part that I love watching,
besides Hutch's mom and sisters.
Well, they're not so much in episode 3, right? Yeah. It's the struggle that, and I think it is genuine. It's the struggle that coaches and organizations go through when they have to trim that roster down. You know what I mean? It even started, the discussion of it even started in episode 3. And you see how these position coaches, it's hard, man.
Yeah.
Like we're only privy to what, 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So you make it feel like it's, 5 days. Campus. This is a month. So you're working with these guys. You're spending a lot of time with these guys. And it's those bubble players. You know what I mean? Like Aiden Hutchinson, who, first of all, dude, it's a great pick.
Dude, I don't understand how he's so. Listen, I know how he's so good. I watched him every snap he's ever taken. But he's not an overly huge guy. Like he's not like he's. But he's the fact he
he's
never
JJ
gives
Watt.
up on
I mean, he's
he never
TJ
gives
Watt.
up
He's
on a
like
play.
He just never takes a play off.
It's
That's
incredible.
And he is quick. He's quick
quick.
off the ball
Yeah,
and
that's
super
true.
aggressive.
And he's got multiple moves. He's not just a one-trick pony.
Yeah. So, but he's really, really good. That's a great pick. That's the kind of pick where one pick can change your entire defense.
And listen, and
because of the position.
And if the guy from the Jaguars doesn't work out, you could be kicking yourself for Walker from.
Oh well, sure, yeah, because that was kind of a risky.
That was.
They thought what higher upside.
If they took Thibodeau or someone else, no one would have really argued with it. But this guy was like a combine hero.
He went flying up the charts.
Yeah, and it was kind of a weird.
He was kind of like top 10, but closer to 10. And then as the draft process went on, next thing you know, they're like taking him first. I don't know, man. I look back now and I'm watching this kid Hutchinson on Hard Knocks, and I'm like, I don't know how you pass up on that, because you don't need a quarterback. If you need a quarterback, that's different. If there's one available, but I don't know how you pass up on Hutch. Yeah. So that's the part for me. Like, he's not worried about getting cut when the coach is up there, and Dan Campbell's up there, and he's talking about, this is a tough time. Just keep working hard. And you can see, then they show the big board with the coaches and the GM. You can see the struggle.
Oh, and the agony in their faces.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 things in his hand. He's got 2 tags in his hand. He's like, A or B. And they're like, how do we cut this guy? How do we cut? He's done everything we asked him to do. And then they say something in the whole room, in the whole meeting room, where he's like, there's a guy with talent, but you can't trust him. Then there's a guy that might not have the talent that you could.
He's working. He's consistent. Yep. And it's true. It's so true.
It's so true, man.
So from my experiences, it was like, it wasn't so much for cuts as it was for like your starters and who gets a lot of playing time. Because it's like, there's guys who have talent that should be on the field. Like, there's just no doubt about it. Everybody can see with their eyes the talent that's there. They should be on the field. But they're not always available, and they're not always pushing and not always working hard. And then you have these other guys who maybe he's a little undersized, but he's got and I'm thinking of like
maybe
Rodrigo,
he runs a
or
4.6 instead of a 4.5.
And I'm like, dude, this kid is undersized, a 6th-round pick, but god damn, is he in on every play? And I look back and I think of like a Pat Mulligan or something like that from our days. Your friends who listen to the podcast will think of Pat Mulligan. Like, he's 5'8", and we had him playing middle linebacker and guard. And you're like, it's so. I look back and I think that's so unfair because he's so undersized for both positions. Meanwhile, he was probably our best at both positions, as an undersized guy playing as wide.
Definitely our best.
Never-ending motor, constantly getting after it, always where the ball is, like always not. So you look at that and you're like, but he's undersized. Yeah, but he's always on top. always there, never
That
misses
kid-
practice, never gets hurt. Always pushing, always
That kid
working.
Rodrigo's smart too, man. He's always in the right
Yes.
position. He's always in the right spot.
But that's what I'm saying. He's a missile, though.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch on the field for a linebacker. I mean, he's always. In fact, there was one play, I can't remember if it was episode 3 or 4, one specific play where he just like filled the gap. Now, he didn't make the tackle, but he took on a block, stopped the ball runner,
And
ball
the guy
carrier,
went around
made him bounce, and then they ended up tackling for a loss. Aaron Glenn said, "That's the shit I'm talking." They're watching the film. He's like, "That's the shit I'm talking about right there."
What
did Rodrigo say?
But keep doing that.
Rodrigo said, "I should have got him down." And he goes, "Yes, you should have got him down. But dude, do that every time," because he knew that bounced it out, and then they were able to make a tackle for a loss. So, yeah, that kid really stands out a lot.
You know what I love about football, too?
6th-round pick.
Because it starts with so many guys. And watching the Steeler game with the Lions, about 4 or 5 guys really made the team or didn't make the team in that game.
Yes.
Like that Pimpleton dropped that touchdown.
Yes.
And he knew it. He knew it.
That was episode 4 for those who are following along at home. That was episode 4. They're playing the Steelers, and this is the last preseason game. And some of these guys that are on the bubble, one play can make or break. And he dropped the ball. That was earlier. That was in the first half, right?
I think it was third quarter.
Was it that late?
Yeah, it was.
And then, so it's like, and he was screaming on the sideline, and you knew it was because
you knew it.
He figured he might have just lost his job. And we don't know yet, so they didn't announce the cuts at the end of episode 4. But, God, that's the part of this. Like, there's different aspects of this show that are really cool. Like, you get to see, like, just how hard camp is. Like, it's fucking hard, dude.
Hot.
And these guys, like, we talk mainly about stars. You talk about Aaron Rodgers. These guys are not worried about their jobs. But the reality is on a 53-man roster, there's probably, 40 guys. Out of the 53, there's probably 40 that are at least considering and concerned about their job on a week-to-week basis. I mean, even once they make the team.
Yep.
Like, if I get hurt, I can't get hurt. Because if I get hurt, I'll get cut. I'll lose my job, man. And they're not making $20 million a year. It's not guaranteed money. It's not bad money. I'm not saying they're broke. I'm just saying, if this is all you got and you might get cut, that now you're a journeyman. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that. So, like, it's really – so there's that part of it. Like, you're seeing how hard camp is and how hard most of these guys are working and have to work, how much these coaches get after it. And it's just how hard camp is. Camp is freaking hard, dude. Unlike any other sport with the equipment and the heat of the summer, it's hard. And then you get the other side is the personal side with these stories of these guys who are on the bubble. And as we're watching the show, you start rooting for them. And frankly, we don't know yet. We don't know. I mean, you and I might know because we can probably go look at the Detroit Lions roster and know who got cut. So don't tell me because I don't want to know. I want to see it. I'm gonna feel bad about some of these guys losing their jobs and what's gonna happen to them. Like, you start to care about them.
I love how it's produced too. Like, you get Serious Dan Campbell. You get the Good Morning. You get like serious business, and then when you sense like they need to laugh, he shows the tape of them doing the electrical bands and the snapping. The one guy snaps the band and hits the guy. He goes, "That shit hurt." He goes, "That shit hurts me. I don't care who you are. That shit hurt." And like the whole room gets a giggle. Like, it's like it loosens things up a little bit.
Yep, absolutely.
But like,
and along those lines, I just want to say one thing I do feel about Dan Campbell, like whether he's a great coach or not, I don't know yet. What I do sense about him is he has his finger on the pulse of this team.
Oh yeah,
like he knows at every instant and every moment what they need, what they don't need. Like sometimes his stories are a little funky and they're a little clunky, and he's a little clunky in his delivery sometimes, but he knows they need it. Yeah. He knows what they need and when they need it.
And he relates to him so well.
That's what I mean. Like he really has his pulse on this team. And I think that goes a long way, frankly. I think that goes a lot of times goes a lot further than some of the X's and O's because these guys really love him. These players on his team really love him. Well, and you'll run through a wall for someone that you love.
Number one, he's a leader of men for sure. There's no doubt about that. Yes. Number two is he said it when they left. I think they left Indianapolis. He goes, all the people in the hotel, you guys were classy.
Yes.
There's no bullshit.
Means you're good people.
That's what we want. He goes, that's first and foremost here. He goes, you might not be able to play at this level, but You'll be better men, and I'll always go to war with you for that.
Yeah.
Dude, that means something. Playing for
Absolutely.
you, man, that means something to somebody down like 20 years ago. And the one more thing I want to add to the show is like, and you know better than anybody too, dude, the difference between starters and backup quarterbacks.
Oh,
Tim Boyle and David Blau are fucking horrendous.
and I don't think Blau is horrendous.
Blau's not terrible, but he's got no zip.
But you're 100. Oh yeah, it's the arm strength. Like, dude,
He's running around. I know he's got the third string line, but it's brutal, man.
You're so right. You're so right. Like, there's a reason you pay these guys, even like Jared Goff. You watch him, and then you watch like a David Blau, who I actually think plays hard, and he, as a backup goes, he's not a starter in the NFL, but as a backup goes, I think he's actually pretty serviceable. He's got a little mobility. You know, he makes a little shit happen. He threw a couple shuffle passes when he was about to go down.
Yeah,
like, a couple touchdown passes. Like, he knows how to score.
Would have had another one if Pimpleton dropped catches his fucking ball.
Yes, but the difference, like you're saying, between him and Jared Goff is like, you know, it's
like, listen, and
immeasurable.
We both like Goff, but you probably put him what? Top 18, top 19?
Yeah, I would say middle of the road. Yeah, I just don't think he stinks like everybody else.
And look how smooth he looks.
Compared to these guys.
And it's like, dude, and he's like,
totally. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, the difference between a top 20 quarterback in the league and every single backup in the league, other than maybe Jimmy G at this point, like, you just don't understand, dude. It's like, it's hard to even. I don't even have a really good comparison. Like, it's major league to minor league. Like, you're really the dip, the drop off. This is what I'm saying. When you lose your starter in the NFL, you start looking at the draft. Your fucking season's over.
And that's why the draft is such a big deal, because the quarterbacks are always the biggest draw, because there's just not.
If you don't have one, you can't compete. God. You can't. This is no longer do we have the days where like you can have Brad Johnson as your quarterback and win a Super Bowl like they did in Tampa.
Right.
Like, that shit is not happening anymore. Like, it's just not happening anymore. Like, this is Lamar Jackson 20 years ago is more than good enough to win a Super Bowl in the league at the time. Okay? With his ability to throw, to run, and the way they normally play defense in Baltimore, but now the way the league is set up, you have to have an elite passing quarterback, or you can fucking forget it. Like, it's just not happening, dude. You're not winning a Super Bowl. So that's why I have said to you, like, would I rather have this guy or this guy? Who do I think eventually will be the better passer in the league? Because in the end, that's what it comes down to. Especially when it comes to the playoffs, you're going to have to throw the ball in big spots. We look at the Rams and we say, oh, how dominant they won the Super Bowl last year. They were down to Tampa. They were down and Matt Stafford, this much better than Jared Goff, made just enough plays, and including the Super Bowl, to win. They won close in these games. These weren't blowouts. They won close, and they won late. You know, like, so if you don't have that guy, just forget it. Like, Miami, I don't care how many Waddles and Hills you bring in, you're not winning a Super Bowl because your quarterback is Tua. Like, it ain't happening. It's just not happening. He's not a Super Bowl quarterback. So, yeah, so when you see Jared Goff, you watch him throw compared to the backup. It's like, dude, this is two different leagues.
Yeah,
it's two different leagues. You can win games with Jared Goff. You're lucky if you're a 500 team. Like, if you put Blau on the Rams, you put Blau on the Rams, you put Blau on Tampa, you put Blau on the Chiefs. You're thrilled if during his stretch of games you go 500. You're thrilled.
Yep.
Thrilled.
And it's from every
and he's
little,
not bad.
It's from every little thing too. Calling the play, getting the huddle. It just looks clunky.
It's different.
Everything just looks clunky, man. It's like
different. Yeah.
So
now I will say one more thing. I do think I'm going to go back to last year, and it was about the only time that Dan Campbell called out individual players, and it happened to be Jared Goff. It was kind of early in the season, and he said he's got to. Basically, he was saying, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but the gist of it was he needs to let it rip. Like, he's a big boy. Let it rip. Take your chances. Let's go. Like, you can't just hold on. We need you.
And he's been good ever since that.
And he's been good since. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, this is not a guy who's afraid anymore. And I just think Dan Campbell sat down with him after that and said, dude, this is the fucking NFL. You got to let it rip. You can't just, be conservative.
And there could be
hope.
and
No,
there could
do
be a
your
lot to
job.
say why he got traded from the Rams because
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Because he just would hold on to the ball too long, didn't want to make mistakes. And then when you're holding on and don't want to make mistakes, you end up making mistakes. It's like sometimes you just got to go. You know, frankly, it's an honest and fair criticism of Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. Like, he's such a careful guy. I mean, this is a guy who on a regular normal season will throw between 3 and 5 interceptions the whole season, Aaron Rodgers. But in the playoffs, you're playing really good teams, and sometimes you got to take some shots that you're not normally willing to take.
Weather's crazier.
And he's just not willing to do it. They're just not as explosive in the playoffs. Why? Because he doesn't take those risks, and sometimes you just got to do it. So, and it looks to me like Jared Goff got the message.
And Campbell's such a good guy. Like, I think he might, like you said, he might have pulled him over in the side and go, "Listen, I'm sorry I had to do it that way, but it worked."
I could totally see that, dude.
Yeah, like
I could see him saying before he said it, "I'm going to call you out in this press conference, just so you know."
Yeah, I want the team to hear it.
You deserve it, but I want the team to hear it, and I want you to know that it's coming, so you're not taking on. Like, I could totally see that.
Right, absolutely.
And then afterwards, go into the film and say, "You see this? Let it rip."
And then he responded.
Let it fly, man. Hey, we got you. We believe in you. That's why you're here. We traded for you because we believe in you. And it just, I believe that has been going on because I feel like I'm looking at a different guy. I really do feel like I'm looking at a more confident guy, a different guy who's really taking more chances. Good chances.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, Hawkinson, when Jameson Williams comes in,
Josh
Reynolds and DJ Shark, they got some guys now.
And you get the kid out of the backfield too. Yeah, so he should let it rip. And regardless, this is the game. It is a passing league. We need you to pass the ball. Like, you can't just hold on to it forever and then just think and dunk. Like, sometimes you're just going to have to take shots. So, and I see a different guy. I just see a guy I see a really confident guy. I look at Goff and I just see a really confident guy. So I will say one more thing about him that I was like, I had no idea. Apparently with like some local high school kids, did you see this in episode 4?
Yeah.
He has like a company, like an apparel company that he works with these kids, and these kids are actually doing the work. Like, they're doing the job. Really cool stuff, because you see the kids are excited about the products, the apparel that they're making, and they're in charge, you know, and he basically comes to them for support and like, what are you guys doing? I love this. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool.
And then
this is the shit you don't get to see.
I want to be your best man in your wedding. How about that?
Yes, all right. Very cool. So
you're right. It peels the onion back more than they're just dumb jocks and whatever.
You might see some stuff like that with Denver. You and I might see some stuff like that between us, like the Giants and the Jets, and maybe I get some Philly because I'm in South Jersey.
Yeah.
But I don't get to see that with, like, you know, the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know what kind of special stuff these guys are, or Dolphins or the Texans. So when you see these guys doing these really cool local programs with kids and stuff like that, or hospitals, or, you know, it's really cool to see. You know what I mean? It's really cool.
Dude, an hour or two a week, whatever it is, it makes a kid's whole life.
It could change their whole world.
Oh,
it could change a kid's entire world,
especially in Detroit.
That somebody like that believes in them as kids. I mean, forget it. Like, it's really cool shit. So, yeah, I've been really enjoying it. For someone who hasn't watched a single goddamn episode for 17 years, you talked me into it, and I'm enjoying it.
You're welcome.
You get the pat on the back for that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I get the pat on the back for actually, you know, being flexible and being willing to do it. I get a little something.
Put your ribcage back in. Stop blowing yourself. Let's move on.
Did I say that the Niners should keep Jimmy G? Do I? Okay. Well, I don't want. You don't want to go back to that one?
Well,
Shit. Okay. Finally, we have some college football, like a full slate, regular games. We had one game last week that we'll get to in a minute. We had the Nebraska Northwestern game, but other than that, it was a lot of like either mismatches or small college games. Oh, by the way, I watched anyway because I love college football, so I don't give a shit who's playing. I like watching college football. But this week, that was week 0. This is technically week 1. So why don't we take a look at some of the big games that are going on this week, and I'll let you start and throw some at me, and if I have any others.
Pretty good week 1 slate.
Oh, goodness.
Usually there's a lot of cupcake games. We'll get to those too.
There are some of those.
Because we're going to cover it all, my friend. That's what we do on this show.
Why wouldn't we?
We're gonna kick it off tonight in the Big Ten.
Big game.
The Penn State Nittany Lions go to Purdue at West Lafayette in a blackout game.
Lovely.
For those college football fanatics like we are, you remember a couple years ago when Purdue had unfortunately, that sick kid in a wheelchair. He was going through a battle, and sadly he lost. They had Ohio State come into town, and Purdue ran them out of the fucking stadium. I think that Ohio State team has 20-something pros on it, and Purdue just beat them up. Arizona Cardinal wide receiver Rondell Moore's on that team.
Right.
And Penn State's going into a raucous environment again tonight. And I got to tell you, dude, this is a big game for both teams.
Who's the head coach of Purdue?
That would be Mr. Brom.
A couple years ago, they were all excited about him because they really were improved. I don't know if that's the same season that you're talking.
Jeff Brom, yep.
But
yeah, that was the start of igniting a little
what
bit.
They
back
thought.
Up.
Yeah. Now, last year was men's.
The year after that was bad. Last year they brought it back up again.
But it still wasn't. They did. Okay, you're right. So there's a lot of hopefulness. They beat Tennessee in the bowl game. Yeah, my point is to say that there's a lot of hope and good feelings in Purdue about what's going on. And then you bring in Penn State on a Thursday night. You're the marquee game. You're the biggest game in town right now.
You're the Fox game tonight, bro. And
it's on Fox. Oh, that's awesome.
And opening up with a Big Ten game is tough.
Hey, wait a minute. Who are the announcers?
Oh, I think it's Gus and Joel.
Do we have Gus?
Is it Gus and Joel?
Best duo in the game right now.
Gotta be, right?
I mean, I love Gus Johnson. I don't care if it's college football or college basketball. I love listening to him.
Yeah,
he's not the same in the pro games. He's almost a little too professional on the professional games. Like, definitely. I want that college feel, and he's just like, oh my God. Like, I just love it. So he's the best. I hope they're doing a game tonight. I don't know, but I hope so.
Penn State, a lot of pressure too. Down year last year. They were ranked 4th in the country and then lost 6 out of 8.
Eesh. Yeah.
Hey, I said this last week to you, bro. We're doing our top 25 ins and outs.
They're Franklin, in right now, or they're out?
They're out right now, and I got them in. I'm giving them more credit than I think I wanted to, but 6-year quarterback Sean Clifford, excuse me. They got 2 stud wide receivers. Their defense is always pretty good, but new DC now. Manny Diaz from Miami is now the defensive coordinator.
Ooh, nice pickup.
Very nice pickup. But opening up on the road in the Big Ten is tough, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
3.5-point dogs. I don't know if you want to wait and save that for a later segment, but
I don't have them as one of my picks. So
I don't either.
Early season college football is really tough because
dude, it's always tough.
It's just tough because, do all of us know enough about who they lost and who they brought in and who's going to be starting? There's no preseason games in college football, so you're kind of flying very blind. And they did lose a couple one of their receivers was a top pick for Washington. I refuse to say the name of the team for Washington, the NFL Washington football team. And like you said, they struggled down the road. They give James Franklin a huge friggin' contract, which I don't know that was warranted. Was it like 10 years, 90 million or something nonsensical like that? It
might have been 10 for 100.
Whatever it was just too much, considering that they kind of stunk. Like you said, down the stretch, they kind of stunk. And the year before, they totally shit the bed. So I don't know. He's certainly not on a hot seat. He just got a monster contract. And then there was rumors about him heading out to USC. I actually think this is an important game for them.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, you lose this game, and it's like, same old.
It's not Scott Frost hot. We'll get to that in a little while. But it's Penn State takes their football seriously, dude, and you can't fuck around out there.
It's like, what the hell? Like, are we just mediocre? And Penn State is not mediocre. That's not mediocre.
No. When you fill 100,000 seat in week in and week out, you're not mediocre.
Yeah. So what I will say is that with Clifford still as their quarterback, I would expect them to win the game tonight. Even as a dog, I would think that's a good live dog. It's really important for them. They don't win this game.
They're favored.
There's trouble. They're favored. I thought you said they were a dog.
They're favored.
Yeah, I would expect them to win this game. I mean, I actually think that line is pretty sharp. I could see like a 23-20 game here, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
that makes a lot of sense to me. So let's keep it going.
Let's go. Oregon Ducks, neutral site game against defending national champion, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Ex-Georgia DC is now the Oregon head coach. It's funny how that always works out.
Isn't that something?
I think the 17. I think the spread's a higher number here. Georgia replacing a ton on defense, but they reload, not rebuild. So they got probably some hungry guys, and especially a new defensive coordinator hungry, ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know what the over and under is on this game, but the over sounds really good. The over sounds really good. I would be very intrigued by Oregon if
I could tell you where it is. Actually,
if they were at home. This game being on the road, West Coast college football team coming east, school just started, and you're already traveling across the country against the team that won the national championship last year.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm with you, bro.
That's a big ask.
Unless Oregon just gets shut down.
Which, of all the games, first game of the season with a brand new defense, pretty much an entirely brand new defense. Like, literally, I think they're replacing 9 or 10 guys on this defense.
Over under 53.
Oh, I think I really like the over. I think I really like the over on that one. And I don't even know shit about either. I don't even know shit about. I would suspect that Georgia's going to score at least 30-something points, right?
I would think so.
Georgia's going to score 30-something, so you need 20 out of Oregon. I think you're going to get that on a team that basically has fucking entire new starting defense. Take the over. Love the over there.
Ex-Auburn starting quarterback Bo Nix at Oregon as well.
Yeah, they're going to score at least 20 points. Come on.
Another game close to your heart, my friend. The Cincinnati Bearcats will go to Fayetteville and play the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for them early on in the season. Fresh new quarterback, fresh new cornerback, fresh new other cornerback. Another receiver went in the draft. They had it was probably the best draft in history for Cincinnati.
Hands down.
And you're going into SEC. Is that on the road? Is that at Arkansas?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a spot. Now both teams are ranked here, and now Cincinnati coming off what I still believe was a pretty good performance against Alabama until late in that game. You know, a chance to say, hey, we reload too. We don't just, take steps back. We reload. This is an SEC team, a competitive SEC team, a ranked SEC team. They're going to be motivated. They're certainly going to be motivated, but we'll see. What do you think about that one?
Well, you might have to stay tuned a little later in our segment.
Oh, you might. I may have a little more to say about that too.
Utah at Florida. Now, Utah picked to win the Pac-12. Florida with new coach, new quarterback. Always tons of athletes down there. It's going to be hot. It's going to be loud. Utah doesn't really come out of the gate every year strong. They usually pick it up like week 3, week 4, and then roll.
Yeah.
Spread tells you a lot, I think, here. Utah only favored by 3, number-ranked, 7th-ranked team in the country.
But that's 3 on the road at the Swamp. Like, that's saying something, dude.
Yeah.
I know it's not a lot, but I think it's saying something for them to come cross-country first game of the season.
New quarterback?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's a tough spot, man. That's a tough spot. That's a tough spot for anybody. That's a tough spot for Utah. But you and I both have them in the playoffs this year. So, I mean, frankly, if we think they're a playoff team, this is a game you should win. Florida's unranked. And like you brought up, new coach, new quarterback. If you're a playoff contender, if you're a top 4 contender, we saw Cincinnati go into Notre Dame last year and beat Notre Dame, and go into Indiana and beat Indiana. Not that Indiana was great. No. Florida's not ranked either. You want to be a top team, you have to do that. They did that. If Utah wants to be a contender for a national championship, you got to go into the Swamp and win that game. It's just got to be 21-20. You just got to win. You don't have to win by a lot, but you got to win the game. And that's a big ask. I think it's a big ask for a Utah team to go into Florida.
I totally agree with you. I
think it's a big ask. I'm not saying Florida's going to win. I'm not predicting that. I don't have a pick on this game.
Coach, somebody's got to win.
That's a lot. That's a lot to ask, man. It's a lot to ask. Again, 3rd game of the season, I'd feel actually a little better about it. You know what I mean? Like, have a couple games under your belt where you can see where your weaknesses are, make some adjustments. First game of the season, man, it's a hell of a matchup. It's beautiful. Good for us.
Yes,
it's great for us. What a great Saturday.
And the game of the weekend, Notre Dame. Well, actually, no. Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll give you the other one after. The game of Saturday, Notre Dame at Ohio State.
Yes.
And the spread here is
17.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a big one.
Yeah.
I personally think that Notre Dame is overrated as far as their ranking. I think they're a good team, and I think defensively they're probably going to be pretty strong this year. I don't know that they're beat Ohio State strong, and I don't know who their quarterback is because
Tyler Buchner.
Yeah. well, good luck. Because as you pointed out last week, the defense coordinator from Oklahoma State last year, who did a masterful job of turning a team who never has a good defense into one of the best defenses in the freaking country, said, yeah, I like the idea of coaching at Ohio State a little better than coaching at Oklahoma State. Probably some better athletes. So he's there now. So I would expect their defense to be a little better. What's fascinating about that Ohio State defense is they give up a shitload of points and they don't necessarily play great, but they draft well. Somehow they still get a lot of guys drafted. So you can see there's individual talent there that hasn't been harnessed very well. And I suspect it'll be harnessed pretty well this year. So that's tough.
Yeah,
Where's that game being played?
In Columbus.
Yeah. Oof.
I heard, who was it? Bruce Feldman was on before somewhere. And he's like, I got to tell you, I don't know if this is going to be watchable in the second half. So he thinks ugly early.
I can see it. Do you have any other games on?
I got one more for you. Sunday evening, your Florida State Seminoles will play the LSU Tigers in the Superdome. I think that's a pretty good game, man. LSU, new coach, new quarterback. Florida State with a game under their belt, trying to get back to where they were years back. Dion is not on line one just yet.
I don't have a slogan for it yet. I really was racking my brain all week. I can't come up with anything. I can't come up with any P for prime. Like, I'm working on it. For all the reasons you just said, I think this is a really interesting game. Florida State is dying to come back into relevancy. And LSU, who is relevant, has a new coach, new quarterback. Florida State looked good last week, but, they didn't play anybody of any significance. So we'll see. These early season games are tough, dude. Like, they're really tough because we have no reference point whatsoever. No. So I don't know. I don't have any strong feelings about that one way or another. I know what I'll be rooting for, but I'll have no problem if LSU wins because one of my bets last week on our over and under segment was that LSU would have over 6.5 wins. So that would help that case and make me look good there. I have one other game that I'm interested in because of some of the things we've talked about. The idea of one of the ways I like to bet on games early season college football is I look to a team who had a pretty productive, or I'll even say like a really good college quarterback the year before, who graduated or went into the draft and is gone. I think it's hard to replace those guys because a lot of times we as fans don't realize how much those teams rely on those really good quarterbacks. We're going to see that with Cincinnati, like you mentioned before, because Desmond Ridder was their core, a 4-year starter, now gone. How much did they rely on him? So another team that I'm interested in to see, Ole Miss is playing Troy. I don't think they could lose that game. I'd be stunned if they lost that game. But how much, this is not Alabama, who you lose a quarterback, you bring another one in. The rest of the team is so goddamn loaded, it doesn't matter. Who's the Matt Corral?
Yes, sir.
How much did they rely on him? How much of their viability the last couple years specifically is because Matt Corral was that good of a college quarterback. I don't know how good of an NFL quarterback he is. We'll find out someday. But as a college quarterback, he was pretty goddamn good. How much of their success was dependent on him? So they're 21.5-point favorites against Troy. I suspect they're going to win the game. But don't be so surprised that this is like a single-digit win. Don't be so surprised if it's like a 24-17 game because you're breaking in a brand new quarterback. I love Lane Kiffin, and I like the direction Ole Miss is going. But it's a new quarterback, man, and I'm interested to see how. Well, I
think they're playing. I think they're playing two quarterbacks too.
Is that what they're doing?
I think they're not sold on a guy either.
What you're saying is you don't have a quarterback. If you're playing a two quarterback system, you're saying you don't have a quarterback.
Unless you're Michigan, then you do have two quarterbacks.
So that's another game that I'm keeping an eye on.
I asked you a question. So obviously every week, and before you bring it up, I'll make fun of myself. 15 years ago today was the App State-Michigan game. So enjoy your fucking laughter there.
It was one of the greatest games in history, dude.
Yeah, I wish it was against
Ohio State. It just didn't work out in your favor, but it was one of the greatest, most exciting games in history.
So I asked you, over under, 2.5 top 25 teams that's playing an unranked opponent.
Yes.
Will they go down? 2.5 teams.
Here's the problem with this. I looked into this, and here's the problem. As we just went through that list.
What the fuck is this?
There are multiple teams there are multiple games where 2 ranked teams are playing.
There's only 3.
Yeah, but one of the ranked teams has to lose.
I didn't read the text, jackass. I said unranked versus unranked. I said ranked versus unranked.
Versus ranked. Okay, so I'm going to take the under then.
All right, I got right now. I see 1.
I think there's like 5 or 6 games where there's an unranked team playing a ranked team.
No, there's like 10.
An unranked versus a ranked?
Yeah, dude. Look at your top 25.
I looked at the schedule. I didn't.
All right, I got 2.
2 that you think could go the other way?
I got 2 that I think unranked teams could win.
All right, so what? Penn State, but they're not playing a ranked team. Purdue's not ranked, are they?
Penn State's not ranked either.
I know, but I was saying if you were taking Penn State, if you were thinking Penn State could win, but they're not playing a ranked team.
No, I'm thinking
Am I
Florida
correct?
could beat Utah.
Correct. That was one that I saw.
I think West Virginia could beat Pitt.
I didn't even see that one, so I must have skipped that. Okay,
that's
that's
tonight.
2.
That's tonight.
Okay, that's why I probably didn't notice it because I was on the Saturday schedule.
All right. So then I'll give you. Then
It's
I'll give you.
possible.
All right, I'll give you a list. Central Michigan versus Oklahoma State. No, I don't.
No.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. VMI week. No. Western Michigan, Michigan State.
No.
Sam Houston, A&M.
No.
Colorado State, Michigan.
Not likely.
NC State, East Carolina.
No.
UTEP, Oklahoma.
No.
Bethune, Cookman, Miami.
No, it doesn't even matter who Bethune
Houston,
Cookman's
San Antonio.
No.
Dude, they're only favored by 4.
It's not going to happen.
Okay. Troy, Ole Miss.
You know what? Put it in the S column. It's impossible.
So we got 3 possibles. BYU,
It's 3
South
possibles.
Florida.
No. South Florida's terrible.
Rice, USC.
No.
Albany, Baylor.
Nope.
Illinois State, Wisconsin.
Nope.
Miami, Kentucky.
Miami, Ohio.
Kentucky.
No.
Utah State, Bama, no.
No.
And Clemson, Georgia Tech, no. All right, so we got 3 possibles.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the under.
3 possibles. Yeah, I would go down.
There's 3 possibles, but I'll take the under.
I would go under. As well.
That means it'll definitely be over because
That'd be like 7.
it'll be all of them. It'll be crazy. Yeah, the problem is that you have a number of ranked versus ranked teams. Now, if you want to look at like how many either unranked or higher ranked, whatever, lower ranked teams win, then I would take the over. Like how many, if you included like say like there's a 25 versus 10 and if the 25 beats the 10, that would count as like a ranked team getting beat, then I would say over because to me, especially being a first, there's always chaos. First couple of weeks, there's always chaos. So, yeah. Shall we? The music is playing. Shall we get to our picks?
Yes,
We've been waiting so long.
What do you got?
You get to start this one off, man. That's all you.
All right. I just mentioned to you. I think West Virginia could beat Pittsburgh. West Virginia getting a touchdown and a hook at Pitt. Backyard brawl. Back on the table.
No Kenny Pickett. No Addison.
Game. Georgia transfer quarterback JT Daniels in for the Mountaineers.
Ooh.
You just said Pitt rebuilding. I think Pitt wins, but I think West Virginia gives them a scare. Give me Mountaineers plus 7.5.
I don't have this one on my list, but you know what you just sold me on? You just sold me on a money line bet.
Just our previous segment. Top 25 team to an unranked team. Fuck your face. Let's go.
I think I like West Virginia on the money line, man. I gotta look that one up, but I think I like West Virginia on the money line. Find me the money line while I'm telling you my first one.
I can't wait to get the text at 8:00. Fuck West Virginia.
Listen, this is just proof that I was not a fan of this team last year. I just was telling you what I saw, and I thought Cincinnati was a fantastic football team last year, regardless of what conference they were in. I gotta be honest with you, man. No Desmond Ridder. No Sauce Gardner, no Kobe Bryant. They lost another receiver. Like I think they had 6 or 7 guys from the Cincinnati Bearcats get drafted, which is like the most in their history. And I think it might even have been more than that. I might be wrong. I actually had Arkansas as a team that might be under. Like I gave them under wins because I think they snuck up on a lot of people last year, but I don't think they're sneaking up on anybody this year. But I think Cincinnati's hurting. I think there's just too many losses for a team that doesn't just reload that quickly. So give me Arkansas -7 at home too. They're at home over Cincinnati. Arkansas minus the touchdown.
Well, you could skip over me because I have that one as well, my friend.
Okay. All right. So sometimes early in the season, new coach, new quarterback, you're trying to prove a point. And you're not probably going to love this one because I'm going out to the West Coast here. But I think that USC is going to try to prove right off the bat that this program is back on the map. And what better way to do it than just by shitting all over basically a mid-major team in the Rice Owls. What the hell's the name of the coach? I'm drawing a blank on your favorite. Lincoln Riley over there in USC, and Addison coming out there from Pittsburgh, as we just mentioned. CJ Williams, is that the quarterback? Is that his name? Caleb Williams, whatever. I'm sure. What if his middle name is James? Caleb James Williams.
CJ Williams. You mix two guys together.
He's a CJ too. I'm gonna start calling him CJ from now on. CJ Williams out there, quarterback in USC. I think they put up a monster number. I suspect they score over 50. It's a statement game. You want to make a statement right off the back. USC, we're back on the map. So USC, it's a big number here, folks. USC minus 33. It's a big fucking number, but I think they're trying to send a message. So USC minus the 33. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 52-3 kind of score.
Yeah, I would probably agree with
Okay, so that's why I'm saying it.
I'm going to the Big Ten. The Illinois Fighting Illini and the Fighting Brett Bielemas.
I'm interested in this game.
They're going at Indiana. Illinois with a game under their belt already.
And they won big.
Great running back, tough Bielema style, run the ball, played some defense. Yep. Indiana, awful year last year after coming off being top 25 for the first time in 100 years.
Yeah.
New coordinators on both sides of the ball. New quarterback. I don't know. I like Illinois. And they're getting points. Give me the friggin' points all day with a better team, I think. I got Illinois plus 3.
I like this pick a lot, actually. If you want to know what Illinois is basically Wisconsin light. Remember that Brett Bielema was the head coach at Wisconsin for a long time. They had some of the best running backs and some of the best offensive linemen that they ever had while he was there. I personally think they underperformed while he was there. I was surprised that he got the job at Arkansas. I don't know that he deserved it, and they let him go, so he really didn't. But I do think he's a pretty good coach, and I think he's in the right conference. I think he's a Big Ten, Wisconsin.
And I think he's on the right side of the conference too.
Yes, yeah. Well, that helps too. But we saw marked improvements in that. Let's not forget the head coach of the Houston Texans, Lovie Smith, was the head coach of Illinois before Brett Bielema took over, and they sucked bad.
Oof.
And last year he comes in. Did they end up winning 6 games and going to a bowl game, or did they come up just short?
I think they came up just short.
It might have, but you can see that they were better. This was an improved team, and I think they got some NIL guys in there, some transfers, and a pretty decent recruiting class for Illinois. I like that pick, dude. I like that pick a lot.
Thank you, sir. So I hope it works out for me.
I like that pick a lot. I'm liking both of your picks so far, man. I'm not, and we were both on the same page with the Arkansas game. Is that?
Yeah, we're fucking screwed.
I don't like this at all. This is no good. So I'll give you my last pick here. I'm going to stay in the Big Ten here. I gave you my pick beginning of the season. I think Ohio State's going to win a national championship. And you may have heard me a little earlier in the segment. I said that I think Notre Dame is a little overrated. I don't know that they're a bad football team, but I don't think they're the number 5 team in the country when you don't even know who the hell their quarterback is. So that means we don't even know like what kind of offense they're going to have. So I have major questions about Notre Dame. New head coach, new quarterback. These 2 things alone scare me. I would be betting against that if they were playing pretty much anybody first game of the season. But they're playing Ohio State, who I think might win the national championship this year. And I don't even think it's that big a line, dude. They're less than 20 points. And let's be honest, Ohio State is not exactly afraid to run up the score.
No.
So they kind of got left out of the show last year. You're thinking, hey, we're coming back with our quarterback. Let's leave no doubt. I'm sure they would love to win this game like 45-10. An action point bet would be a wonderful bet here if you're really thinking they're going to run it up. I think they're going to run it up. I think this thing could get ugly pretty quick, and I don't think they're going to take their foot off the gas pedal. So give me Ohio State minus I think a slim 17 points here against the Fighting Irish. Some of our Notre Dame fans are not going to love that one, but I'm just telling you, they may end up having a really good season, but it's the wrong team at the wrong time, dude. In the wrong place.
I will be at a barbecue tomorrow night at Billy Mulligan's house.
Oh, don't play this segment. Don't don't play the Bump and Rum Sports podcast at that barbecue.
Sorry, not I should say sorry.
Sorry. Hey, we just tell Legacy we got nothing against Notre Dame.
Last year, Illinois was 5-7.
5-7, so they just missed out,
But
and they were probably looking for in the last
Penn State
game
on the road.
What's that?
They upstate Penn State on the road.
Yeah, I mean that's an improvement. I like that bet a lot, dude. And Indiana's coming off a disappointing season, so and like you said, new quarterback, new coordinators. We shall see. So, good stuff there. Let me turn the music off now. We're finally back to making our bets, making our best bets. We get to do this for another 5 months. It's so good. Now, listen, if you guys remember last year, we made you some money. We really had a pretty decent winning record. I think we hit it a 59, 60% winning percentage, which is pretty goddamn high. So, follow along, take the win, put the money down, win your money. Speaking of winning or not so much, Nebraska last week, it was the one game that everybody kind of had their eyes on. The game was being played in Ireland, which was pretty cool. I don't know how much the people over there really cared, but it was fun to watch. It was a really good game. It was a really interesting game. And I will tell you this, of all the things that I noticed in this game, the quarterback for Northwestern kind of impressed me. The quarterback for Northwestern and their offensive line. They got some big dudes again up front.
They might have another first-round pick on that line.
They might. You're absolutely right. So it's not all Nebraska was just bad, but you're 13-point favorites.
The decision, yeah, and I'll be the first one to make fun of myself. I had Nebraska winning convincingly, and they were up. They were up, 28-13 or something with the ball, and then they screwed up.
They went for an onside kick that didn't work so well. That didn't bother me as much as it did some other people. I get it. You're trying to get the ball back, put the nail in the coffin, put this game to rest. And frankly, even Northwestern gets the ball. I mean, you do get to play defense, but something happened in that moment, and the game totally shifted. I don't think Nebraska scored another point the rest of the game.
They only had 3 more first downs after that, I heard.
Yeah, too. And it really was a tale of two halves because they moved the ball all over the field in the first half. I mean, they just went up and down the field pretty much at will. And like you said, after that onside kick that didn't go their way, dude, they couldn't even get a first down. They just looked like the quarterback couldn't find. He was having I think he threw for over 200 yards in the first half, and I don't even know if he threw for 80 yards in the second half.
This is another example of how good fucking Pat Fitzgerald is too. Guy's unbelievable.
No, he's a really good coach. It also is a great example of momentum in football.
Oh yeah,
we've talked about this with other sports. Momentum in baseball. What does that mean? Well, if you have an ace going onto the mound the next day, momentum stops quickly. You know what I mean? You feel really good. Basketball, it's you might miss 6 shots in a row, but then you get the ball back, and you make 6 shots in a row, and things move in basketball. There is momentum shifts in basketball, but it shifts back and forth. Football's the one sport where sometimes there's one shift in a game and then the other team just can never flip it back in their direction. And this is really what happened. Northwestern got a little momentum. They scored relatively quickly after that onside kick. Now, who knows what goes on psychologically? Does the defense look and say, hey man, we're back in this game? Because they turned it on. Suddenly this was the 85 Bears. They didn't give up shit. You got guys flying all over the place, making plays holy crap. It was a different team. And the offense was just running a ball down Nebraska's throat. Now that was going on most of the game. They were able to run the ball most of the game, but it was just it really was, the momentum shifted and it never went back onto Nebraska's side.
So I watched about 4 plays of this game. How was the atmosphere?
It was meh.
Yeah.
It was mad. I actually think they were piping in some cheers, whether it was in the stadium or just on the TV.
Very possible.
Because I was watching, you're watching the stands, you're hearing a roar, and you're watching the stands and nobody's clapping. You're like, I don't know if that's right. But it was a fun game to watch. It was a good game because there was this momentum shift. It was a little David Goliath feel because early on, Nebraska really was handling. They pretty much did anything they wanted to do early in this game. And then that just stopped, and you're like, holy shit, And then it was I don't think Northwestern threw a pass for the last 8 minutes of the game. So that's how confident they were in their defense. They were even if we turn the ball over, we don't care. The defense can stop them. It just was wild. It was really wild. It was a massive shift, and it just never turned back.
Next year, Notre Dame Navy.
in Ireland.
You think the atmosphere is a little better?
Well, sure, because of Notre Dame, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. I think this might have been like a little test run to see if it was worth it, and then you throw the big gun out there. Notre Dame in Ireland? Yeah. Yeah, Fighting Irish? Yeah, I imagine. I suspect that'll be a little different. So that was the game itself. But the way more interesting thing that happened, we've talked about Scott Frost, ad nauseum, like nonstop, and we said he's on a hot seat. And you lose the game and you're really on a hot seat because you were winning by double digits. You're a double-digit favorite. You're winning by double digits, and you cough it up and you lose to a team that had like 2 wins last year. And that's one thing. But then you go and you throw your offensive coordinator under the bus and say, like, you can't play like that in this league. What did he say? Do you know exactly what he said? Or
you got to be a little bit more aggressive in this league. You can't be as
yeah. Now, if you say that to like a rookie coordinator or about a rookie coordinator or a guy that was like let's say he was your offense coordinator from last year, got a head coaching job, and you take the quarterback's coach and you make him the offensive coordinator and you make that comment, that's one thing. This was, I want to make sure, I'm not sure I think his name is Mark Whipple.
Yeah.
All right, so he was the offensive coordinator at Pittsburgh last year, Pittsburgh Panthers, with the guy, Kenny Pickett.
That finished third in the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, and they won the ACC championship last year, and they put up monster numbers. I don't think the problem is Mark Whipple. Okay, so that and you're going to throw your new offense coordinator.
Desperate there.
Yeah, you're throwing your new offense coordinator under the bus first game of the season in public. Come on, dude, that's just weird shit.
Not good.
Oh, by the way, his name is not on the dotted line. Yours is. Why weren't you in his ear saying, "Dude, get aggressive"?
Did he call the fucking onside kick too?
Yeah, exactly. But regardless, I've been a head coach. You think I wouldn't? I don't. And when I was, for those that don't know, when I was a head high school football coach, I called all the offensive plays, and I had a defense coordinator that took care of the defense. But you bet your ass that if there was times that I wanted a blitz, I would say, "Give me some pressure, give me some heat, or back off." I want, I'm the head coach. It's all going to fall on me one way or another. So if I have a feeling or if I want something in a moment, you tell the guy and you make it happen. This is what I want. You think Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick or any of these guys who are defensive-minded coaches that when they want their offense, no, you're going to run the ball, run the clock out. You're damn well you're going to tell them, and that's what they're going to do. So if you thought he wasn't being aggressive enough, that's on you. You needed to go and tell him, open it up. That's on you. That is not on your offense court. That's on you. And that was shitty. Yep. That's just shitty.
I agree.
So it just makes them look worse. And now it actually, for anybody who was on the fence, some people like are a Scott Frost guy or you're not a Scott. Now it takes people who are Scott Frost guys and you're like, fuck him. He needs to go.
Yep.
No, you're losing. You lose defenders. You lose defenders of you when you do shit like that. Nobody's going to come to your defense. So that was just weird. And it's a bad loss. Who do they play this week now? Do you know who they play?
Somebody shitty. Hold on. Kansas. No, not. Let me see.
And I'm only asking that because now if you end up starting the season 0-2,
they play North Dakota.
Yeah, they're going to win that game. But God forbid you win that game like 21-17, like 31-30. And then who do they play the week after? Do you know?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, so now you're going to start the season 1-2, and you barely beat North Dakota. Bad luck, man. It's a bad luck.
I agree. It's not good.
That's the kind of thing that doesn't get you to the end of the season.
Dude, it's just like it makes your skin kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like some rookie. This is a veteran offensive coordinator.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I don't like it at all, but I certainly don't like it to a veteran. A guy who has a track record of putting up
and
points
a guy that
chose
games. To go join you there too,
yes,
bro. It wasn't like
didn't have to do that.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, that's
sucks.
A good point too. Shall we hit some golf?
A little golf. Let's end the year.
Season has ended. The
official
season. Let's be honest. The FedEx Cup was kind of handed to him on this one.
Scotty Scheffler
counts.
Scotty Scheffler, great year, bad Sunday.
coughed it up, man. He coughed it up.
Choke job there, my friend.
Which is so interesting because for those of you who didn't watch, the third round on Saturday was delayed because of rain, and Scotty Scheffler was actually having a pretty rough Saturday, so he lost some ground. Wakes up Sunday morning and puts up just like birdie after birdie after birdie and takes like a big-ass lead, and you're like, what a break for him, because it's clearly he needed the day. And you figure, well, he got off to such a great start. It's the same day. You figure he's going to continue that. And he didn't. He just like ended up coughing it up. Now he had his chances, and even though he coughed it up, he still took the lead back. And Rory even coughed it up. Rory had a really bad hole. I don't know if it was the 14th or 17th where he made a short chip, and he tried to make a perfect chip after that, and he came up just short. Like if he would have chipped it 6 more inches, it probably would have fallen right into the hole. But it was 6 inches short. And it stayed in the rough, and you're like, God damn, because it was a downhill chip, you know. And I'm like, shit, there goes his chance. There's Rory being Rory and coughing it up, coughing up an opportunity late in the tournament. And then you come back and you see Scotty Scheffler just kept messing up, and it just wasn't there. So now Rory gets the FedEx Cup. He had a good year, right? How did he do this year?
I tell you, it was the year of Rory, man. He spoke up. He backed up the live tour bullshit. He was like the spokesman against that.
Yeah.
He backed it up big time. The only thing he didn't really do, he kind of had the British Open won, and he just never. He had such a good Saturday, but he never made anything Sunday. I think he parred 18 holes. He never birdied or eagled anything on Sunday.
I think it's 6 or 8
from him.
He's won a major. I think it's 6 or 8 years. Yeah. Now, to me, winning the Tour Championship, while it's not winning a major,
it takes some heat off of that.
It takes some heat off,
and
because
especially because what he did outside of that with the
there's
PGA
a lot of pressure.
Tour.
And yes, you make a great point. If there was a spokesman per se for the PGA, an unofficial spokesman, I don't know if he was asked to be so vocal or not, but if there was a spokesman for the PGA and the players, it was Rory. And I don't know that anybody in the midst of a season, in the off season, it's one thing, but in the midst of a season, in the heat of battle, and you're fighting for these FedEx points and all this stuff, I think it kind of wore on him a little bit that he was kind of like the tip of the spear for the PGA here, and he was the one that was always asked. He was always asked the questions. Other guys were asked questions too, but he was always asked. And for him, it was, for other guys, it might have been, are you considering it? Is it something you would do? For him, it was, what do you think?
Yeah.
And how do you defend?
Yeah.
And it's hard, that's got to wear on him. So to me, from that perspective, it was an even more impressive win for him, winning the FedEx Cup, because it's the grind. Winning the FedEx Cup is the grind over the course of the whole season. That's why a Scheffler and a Schauffele and some of those guys are up there, because they're grinding it out for the whole season. It's not just one tournament here or there. So for him to have the pressure of the entire PGA on his shoulders the whole season, and then also perform the whole season to be in that position late like that, pretty goddamn impressive. Whether that particular tournament at the end was coughed up by Scheffler or not, the fact that Rory was even in that position is almost more impressive than winning the tournament itself to me, because there was just a lot of weight on his shoulders the whole season.
Yep.
So that was a big deal for me. Now, almost immediately after, I think like the Monday after, or this past Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was, you have more guys continuing to commit to LIV.
7 guys, yeah.
And it just says to me what you and I more or less have been saying since this whole saga started and the PGA was really trying to put their foot down. Sooner or later, dude, you have half of your tour playing LIV. Are you really not going to invite any of them back?
Yeah, I know.
When does Jordan Spieth, who, let's be honest, hasn't been great, but he's still Jordan Spieth. He still has the name. When does LIV offer him $50 million or $30 million a year for the next 5 years? And he turns and says, dude, I can't pass this up. Harold Varner Jr. this week decided to go with LIV. And what was his reason? Finance. I'm sorry, guys. I can't pass up that kind of money.
Yeah.
I'm setting myself up, my kids and their kids up to never have to worry about money.
And he did say, too, it helps my organizations out. It's a big step. Like, I can't.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I as I've said to you, if ESPN came to us, and neither of us are huge fans of ESPN, we feel like they've taken or at least I certainly do feel like they've taken
the shark
too much of a political position on inside the world of sports, like just do sport. But if ESPN came to me and was like, "Hey, would you guys want to do a 1 hour or a 2 hour radio show, for $5 million each?" I'm going to be honest with you, everybody. I'm going to ESPN. I'm just saying, I make a decent living as a teacher, but I don't make $5 million. So as much as I don't necessarily love ESPN, if they came a knocking, I'm going. I'm just telling you.
I'm going.
Okay. If LIV came to me and said, "Hey, do you guys want to, do a post-game show every tournament?" Fuck yeah, I'm going. I'm just letting you know I'm taking the Saudi oil money and I'm going. It's real easy to say you shouldn't do it until you're the one that's offered $100 million. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? You go from making $1 million a year to 50 million or 100 million. You might change your mind. It's real easy to say it while you're working at Walmart. But if Mr. Walmart offered you $50 million to be CEO of the company, fucking Walmart is screwing us. They're shitting on us. You want to be the CEO? Yeah, I'll take that job.
Tommy Walmart.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, that's what I see. Sooner or later, there has to be some kind of kumbaya because there's just too many players that are just gone. And you're not going to let them all. Your product is getting watered down.
Yeah, big time.
Is Rory's win as exciting that there's no Brooks Koepka?
Right.
That there's no Dustin
DJ.
Johnson?
Yeah.
It's a little watered down, guys. I'm just letting you know. It's always like, "Hey, congratulations, but ... And you're going to get that every single tournament, every single major, and every FedEx Cup now. You're going to get, "Hey, man, congratulations, but ... No Dustin, no Oosthuizen, who's always on the leaderboard. No Brooks Koepka, no Phil Mickelson, who's got a championship in the last 360 days. Like, there's this but. So you're going to have to come to some arrangement. You're going to have to come to some agreement. Because there's not less guys, there's more guys going. So
yeah,
there's that.
I know.
And we're not going to talk about the Yankees, are we?
Nah, we'll wait and see if they figure it out for next week. I don't know.
I don't blame you. It doesn't look like you want to talk about them.
Doesn't look
78 in the books, my friend. This was a good one because we got back to making our bets. I love it.
I got 4 names for you.
Can I
my
tell you
friend.
something?
Yes, sir.
I think I like yours more than mine this week. That West Virginia bet.
Well, you're laying a lot of points for USC. That's where we gets trouble. Like, they pull starters third quarter, you can get in trouble there.
I think they want to send a message.
Notre Dame, I think OSU is going to send a message too. But Notre Dame's not.
They're not chopped liver
either. Yeah, so.
But I like your bet. I love that West Virginia bet.
I appreciate it. Well, we'll see.
What do you got? 78.
We'll find out in about 7 hours about that game. Number 4, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler. However, he's better known for a Super Bowl blunder and a Thanksgiving Day miscue in former ex-Cowboy defensive tackle Leon Lett.
Oh, I'll never forget that. I watched that happen live.
Number 3, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 1970s All-Decade, NCAA and NFL Hall of Famer, Oakland offensive tackle Art Shell.
Nice.
Number 2, 8-time All-Pro, 11-time Pro Bowl, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 1980s and 1990s All-Decade, 4-time Super Bowl runner-up, again college and NFL Hall of Famer, former Bills and Redskin defensive end Bruce Smith.
The fact that you even mentioned he was on the Redskins, that was a joke. He was
I know, it's 2-3 years, but I had to put it because usually 1 or 2 I leave them off. But number 1, 9-time All-Pro, 11-time Pro Bowl, 1980s All-Decade, 1991 NFL Man of the Year, maybe one of the best offensive tackles who ever lived, and he's got the funkiest fingers you've ever seen. Bengals Hall of Fame tackle Anthony Munoz.
It's funny because I was just going to say, man, who do you put ahead of Bruce Smith? I mean, Bruce Smith is one of the 5 best pass rushers of all time.
Would you agree with that?
And as soon as you said fingers, Cincinnati, I'm like, Anthony Munoz. I'm like, yeah, because he might be the best offensive tackle.
I was going back and forth on that, and then I'm like, you know what? The way Boomer Esiason talks about Munoz, and then like you hear everyone else talk about it, I'm like, you know what?
He's the standard bearer for the modern day offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Big, athletic, long arms, cover the blind side of your quarterback, although Boomer Esiason was a lefty. Like, he is the blueprint for the modern day offensive tackle, and it's hard to copy. So yeah, that's a tough one. He's kind of the original. Yeah, probably because a lot of people still consider him the best offensive tackle in history. So
yeah. I mean,
that'd be a great one. If anybody out there wants to comment on that one, drop us a comment on that. Like who?
by the way, how we
ranked higher, Anthony Munoz or Bruce Smith? Not the same position, but like if you were in a draft and you had to pick one of them, you can only pick one. Who would you pick?
Or if anyone had a better offensive tackle for us than Anthony Munoz, we want to hear that too.
Man, good luck. Good luck.
How are we doing with our T-shirt giveaway, my friend?
Well, the comments were a little slimmer than I was hoping for. So,
you haven't mentioned it. I figured it wasn't going well.
Maybe we'll extend that to during the season, and hope.
I blame Richie Davila. I'm going to blame him.
It's totally his fault. But I do have news of the week.
Go ahead.
Now the Oakland A's always find a way to be competitive, but this year they're not so competitive. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, they traded 7 guys already.
Yeah, so they're not so competitive. So Rick, there's really when you go to an Oakland A's game, there's not a lot of excitement there. There's not a lot to be excited about. So some fans took this into their own hands, or I should say, one fan took it into her own hands. Just today, or within the last 24 hours, the Oakland Police Department handed out summons to a couple who was, apparently a little bored,
bumping uglies
at the A's game, and there's video release now. You can go on to, let me get this straight. This is the New York Post, because the cops have released the photos and some video of said activity that went on. Basically, the long and short of this is, try to keep this clean.
They were touching peepees.
The girlfriend was speaking into the microphone of her boyfriend in the upper deck. And, good for him, because the game was not good and balls weren't flying off the bats. So she decided to help out with that situation. So they're in a little bit of trouble.
See, when people do something like that, they can still see you. So when you're the only 2 people in an area that's empty,
you just see a head bobbing up and down in someone's lap.
That's a little bit more obvious.
Yeah. Now, in her defense, maybe they were eating popcorn and she dropped some popcorn and it went down his shorts and he had a rash from the popcorn and she was just trying to help him get the popcorn out of his shorts so that he didn't have a rash. Buttered popcorn can do that sometimes, depending on your allergies.
Your brain goes in places sometimes where
if I was a trial lawyer, this is what I'd say. Like, gummy bears fell down his pants. She was down there just looking, searching, helping. You don't want a yeast infection to develop from gummy bears. So it wasn't what it looked like. It was just searching.
Gummy bear yeast infection.
Maybe it was saltines. Maybe he dropped some saltines and she was just helping him to get the crumbs and the salt. Testicular salt is not a good thing. So maybe she was just helping a guy out. Maybe we should be thanking her and saying, hey, you know what? Good on you for looking out for your man to get saltine, salt, and cracker crumb off his testicles. Maybe we need a little more of that in this world. You know what I'm saying? For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Testicular salt. Later.
All right. Now, I got some good news and bad news. I thought that was an awesome podcast.
Yeah, me too.
I never pressed record on the audio part. So I'm going to have to do the download.
Why do you do this?
It's such a rush to get started. I was a little late today because it was my first day at work.
You're more worried about me too, fucking.
It's my first day back at work, so I came.
So now you're not going to have this till tomorrow?
If I can, I'm going to do the download right now, and as long as it works, I should be fine. But I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna get to work on that right now.
All right.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Later. Bye.
Bye.